what are these people doing, and think about this photo in terms of the process, so to speak. Now, after interacting that for some few seconds, you can come up with this as an issue to do with the process. Decision making is like that ladder. That ladder presented there with those people standing on the ladder, and you can see how dangerous the ladder is. Like, so there is a top of the mountain, and that mountain divides maybe one part of the country to the other part. And maybe down there, there might be a river, a deep river. And within the river, you understand what is found in the river. There might be animals, the animals that live in water, the crocodiles, the snakes, the shark, the tilapia, which are dangerous to human life. So decision-making process is like is dangerous like that, but it is just quite dangerous like that ladder there, like that group there, that makeshift ladder of people using to cross to the other end. It is just quite difficult and dangerous like that ladder. But to go through this process very successfully, then you need the skills, problem solving skills. So, and you can see, so it being dangerous, then you can see one person lying flat in those two woods from the left and the right. So there are those people lying, there is one person lying on those in the wood and is hanging. So you can see how dangerous it is. So it needs some skills. So we are going to look at the skills of a decision making problem solving skills. So this person has used the skills to and wants to try to cross over to the other end. So then if that problem is solved, then the other members of that group will also use the same process, the same procedure to get to the other side of the world or maybe the country. So that's basically what happens. So, but you see, the person farthest away on the left is maybe worried. He's stranded. So decision making will make some people get stranded. Will make some people think before they follow the leader. So that person lying on those boards might be the leader. So let's move on and see what happens. So the following at the training outcomes, by the end of the training, the attendee or the learner should be able to explain the problem solving process. So you explain the process of solving the problems, explain the problem solving skills. So you also explain the process of, the problem solving skills. So let's look at the process, how the process looks like. I want us to take a time here and look at the process and understand how the process is like. So the first thing we want to say is that you identify the issues at hand, identify the issue or issues at hand, then be clear what the problem is. You need to be very clear. Then remember that different people might have different views of what the issues are. So different people might get or might have different issues, or might view issues differently. So identify what the issues are like. Identify the issues. Then number two, understand everyone's interest. So once you have identified the issue, then understand everyone's interest. People have different interests. They have different likes. They have different wants. So interests are the needs that you want satisfied by any given solution. We often ignore our true interests as we become attached to one particular solution. So the best solution is the one that satisfies everyone's interest. Take the time for active listening and put down your differences for a while and listen to each other with the intention to understand each other. So you need to listen to people's interests, needs. Then the best interest is one that suits all the members of the organization. The best interest is one that suits all the members. All members should be happy about the interest that you have picked on, or that people share in a company or in an organization. So that calls for active listening. You need to be an active listener. You need to listen actively to come up with the best solution, the best interest. So people will share with you a number of things. They will talk about numbers. They give you the number of interests that they want you to pursue, they want you to follow. So as a leader, you need to listen to this interest and you pick on the best interest. So then the process number three is list the possible solutions. What are the possible solutions to the problem, the options? And this is a very interesting moment. And this is a moment where you do some brainstorming. You brainstorm the issues, you brainstorm the options, the choices at hand, the alternatives. So brainstorming means that you now start discussing with the people. Discuss with the people in detail, find time, then discuss with the people. So there may be lots of room for creativity. Separate the listing of options from the evaluation of the options. So you separate the list of options from the evaluation of the options. So there are many options that are given here at that point. At this point in time, you get many options. Many options are given at this level, and you need to be very careful. Whenever you come up with these options, then you need to be very careful because it is these options that dictate what people ought to follow, what direction people need to follow in terms of getting the best decision. So this is a very delicate area. It's a very delicate scenario, and you need to be very careful because this is an area where people make mistakes. Then next, now you start evaluating those options. What are the pluses and the minuses? Honestly, separate the evaluation of options from the selection of options. So you need to separate the two. So what are the positives of the options, and what are the negatives of the options? Which option is positive and which one is negative? So you need to think about that very carefully, very keenly. So you evaluate the options in that case. The next, select an option or options. Now, in this case or in this area, so far, you don't just select an option. You select the best option in the balance. Is there a way to bundle a number of options together for a more satisfying or satisfactory solution? So select the best option, which will be used to solve or deal with the problems with issues. So select the best option, and you can only select the best option after you have consulted. So you need to consult with the people. Make sure that you consult with people. Don't just pick an option, then that option does not give you the best of what you expect. Then now at this point in time, you document the agreement or the agreements. Don't rely on memory. Write down the agreements that you have made. So writing down will help you think through all the details and the implications. So you think all through the details and even the implications of the whole discussion, the whole options and that you have picked, the options that you had picked, you will have to write them down so that you don't forget. So then your next step is agree on contingencies, monitoring and evaluation. So conditions may change. Make contingent agreements about foreseeable future circumstances. If then create opportunities to evaluate the agreements and their implementation. Let's try it this way for 3 months and then look at it. So you can have that one. That is as a statement for monitoring and evaluation. You try that decision, that alternative, that option for 3 or so months. Then after you have made that, you have tried that, then you reach a point, then you change, you can change, but if it's the best option that is steering the organization forward, that is propelling the organization forward, then you can stick with that option. You don't need to change. You don't need to reverse. So just stick with that. But if the option that you had used earlier did not actually give you the results in a period of 2.5 months, then you can change over to another one because you had many alternatives. Now then, during the problem solving process also you also have to, so we have given the 7-stage process of solving a problem. But there's another process here that begins with research. So research means that you begin to gather more information about the issue, brainstorm with other team members, consult more experienced colleagues, or acquiring knowledge through online research or courses. So this is a part on research that involves consulting. It involves asking questions to the colleagues, team members, acquiring knowledge through online research, or even the courses that are represented online. So try to get knowledge on different platforms, so to speak. Then we have the problem solving skills are as follows. We start here. So we have what you call analysis. So your analytical skills will help you understand the problems effectively, develop solutions. So you will need analytical skills during research to help distinguish between effective and ineffective solutions. So being analytical means that you look at the pros and the cons of the problem or the issue. You look at the pros and the cons of the solution that is supposed to be realized. Look at the side effects, then pick the best option. So you ought to be analytical in your decisions. Analyze the decisions very keenly. Then we also have what you call decision making. We looked at decision making in the earlier discussion some time back. So decision making is another issue there. is another skill. Apart from analytical skills, we have what you call a decision-making skill. Decision-making. So ultimately, you'll need to make a decision about how to solve problems that arise. At times and with industry experience, you may be able to make a decision quickly. So we need to make decisions. Sometimes decisions are made quickly. You don't need to wait because it's urgent. The decision should be made there and then. So it is very important whenever you are making decisions and you are making them urgently, then think about the side effects of quick or rushy decision making. Sometimes if you make decisions very fast, you might actually plunge the company into chaos or into trouble. So you need to be very careful sometimes when you are making these urgent decisions. So it's not just a question of sitting down and coming up with a decision whenever there is a problem. This, you need to have decision-making skills to solve a problem. So the second skill apart from the analytical skill is the decision-making skills that individuals need to acquire for purposes of solving the problems within the organization. Now, what we are trying to say here is that many times problems affect the organization. Problems happen to be in the organization. And you are called upon to provide the solution. So how do you provide the solution in this case? How can you go about providing the solution? How is the solution provided? What you need to do is you need to come up with a decision. And when you come up with a decision, then you need to have what you call decision-making skills. Very important is that you need to acquire the decision-making skills to solve the issue, to solve the problem. And in this case, some decisions that are made quickly, some take some time. But if it's a decision that is needed urgently, then you need to be very careful at the manner in which you come up with that particular decision. Another case or another issue is about communication. What is communication? You must have heard something about communication, what communication is and what are the communication skills. So good communicators are good problem solvers. You cannot solve a problem when you are not a good communicator. You need to have good communication skills, very good communication skills to solve the said problem. To solve the problem at hand. So you need to acquire good communication skills. So communication is a process of talking to each other, a process of sharing information. Communication goes through stages. Communication has elements. It has the speaker, the receiver of the message itself, the channel, and even the feedback. But to move away from that and talk about communication in terms of the ability to articulate the issues clearly, the ability to convince the people, to persuade people. So we're trying to say that when identifying possible solutions, you need to know how to communicate the problem to others. You also need to know what communication channels are the most appropriate when seeking assistance. Once you find a solution, communicating it will help reduce any confusion and make making a solution easier. So sometimes these decisions that we make in life need a very key communication skills. So we need to acquire good communication skills to discuss the problems or the issues clearly to people, to solve or come up with a solution amicably uh, on the issues raised. So we have those aspects of communication that will help to get the right solution to the problem. So good problem solvers have good communication skills. So then there is a question of dependability. So dependability is a case where employers rely on people to make or depend on people to make decisions. And those decisions should be made in a very timely manner. So they are made in a timely manner. So employers value individuals they can trust to both identify and implement solutions as fast and effectively as possible. So whenever you are in an organization, in a company, in an institution, employers are looking for people who can implement make decisions very fast. Companies and organizations are faced with the issues and with this with the very fast. So companies are can depend on when it comes to decision making. Companies are looking for people with the knowledge. So the question of dependability is about the employers, about the organizations, uh, depending on employees. So there is that question of depending on the employees to come up with the solution. It is very important that you be a dependent person. People or a human being that members of the organization can depend on you. So don't actually sit there without coming up with decisions. So companies and organizations look at these people, and the people have got promotions, have acquired jobs because of the manner in which they handle or they solve the problems. They are dependable. They can be depended upon. So look at those issues, look at those scenarios of decision making, then make sure that they come up with decisions that people can rely on, people can depend on. So then another skill is that you need to have some technical knowledge in your field. Technical knowledge in your field. What is technical knowledge in this case, in this sense? What is technical knowledge? Now, we work in different industries, in different organizations. And whenever we talk of technical skill, then we are referring to those skills that are relevant in the industry. If you are a teacher, you have those skills in a teaching profession. If you are a doctor, you have the skills relevant in the profession of medicine. And if you are a nurse, you have also those skills in the field of medicine. If you are a police officer, policeman, you have those skills. So those are the skills we are referring to. So you need to have those skills that are technical in your field. So depending on your industry, it may be easier to solve problems if you have strong working technical knowledge. You can gain technical knowledge through additional coursework, training, or practice. So you can gain this skill through additional coursework, a training or practice. So you can go for refresher courses to train. So you can train in an organization. You can go for tuition. You can take short courses. You can also practice. And by doing that, you'll be able to solve problems. So then another skill is that you need to seek out opportunities to solve the problem, seek out opportunities to solve the problems. So you seek out the opportunities to solve problems. So sometimes you need to look out and get those chances, get those opportunities. Find out which opportunity avails itself to a problem solving, then take part in the process of solving the problem. So you can take part in some of the processes, then you solve the said problems. So by putting into new situation, to be exposed to opportunities for problem solving, you may find there are opportunities to volunteer for new projects in your current role, on another team, or outside the workplace for another organization. So sometimes these voluntary activities might give opportunities to solve problems. You can take part in the new project. You carry out the role, a certain role in the new project. You might be a team leader. You can be a manager. You can be maybe a supervisor. So when you take those duties, those responsibilities, then they give you a challenge. You'll be challenged on how to solve issues, how to solve problems. And by doing that, you'll be getting this opportunity that will help you be knowledgeable, be skilled, and have the expertise to solve a given problem or given issues. Now, then let's look at the ways in which someone can improve problem solving skills. How do we improve problem solving skills? So do practice solving problems. So you practice and role play. So practice and role play can be useful tools when learning to develop your problem solving skills. You can find professional practice books for your industry and problem solving scenarios online. Practice how you might solve those problems and determine if your potential solutions are viable. So you can read these materials online. There are those presentations online. There are those books about problem solving. They can be downloaded online. There are those materials that can be read from newspapers. You can also get situations where you practice problem solving skills. So then practice how you might solve those problems and determine if your potential solutions are viable. So try to find out if the solutions that you come up with are indeed viable. They are good. They can tackle a scenario or a situation. So find out that whenever you come across these problems. Then observe how others solve problems. Now, say for example, you came across a problem that was solved by your senior member of staff. Then that you watch that problem, then it happened that you found yourself in such a scenario, the same circumstance. Then you also need to solve the problem by using the same procedure that you observe people use at one point to the other. So you may have colleagues who are skilled problem solvers. Then observing how those colleagues solve problems can help you improve your own skills. If possible, ask one of your more experienced colleagues if you can observe their techniques. So asking relevant questions can be career, your own career. So you can, like many times, let's say, for example, junior magistrates or junior graduates of law, those who have trained in law, those who have done law. So you get to find out that those people who have done law, who have studied law, immediately after the college, they go for a field attachment. And that field attachment, they go to a court of law, they listen to the cases, they listen to the senior counsel, the lawyers talk. So they are observing the techniques of their seniors in how the seniors tackle problems and how the magistrates provide solutions to problems. Now, sometimes you can also get during immediately after the training, people go for what called field attachment, or then they are assessed. They are uh, they are guided by the senior people in the industry. So then they will also be learning the problem solving skills. They will be guided by those senior people within the industry. So then next is that you can list out as many solutions as possible. So you document the solutions and try to come up with all possible solutions, even if they seem ridiculous at first. So it's important you keep an open mind to boost creative thinking, which can trigger potential solutions. So keep an open mind to boost creative thinking, which can trigger potential solutions. So whenever you are coming up with a solution, whenever you're making a decision in problem solving process, make sure that you come up with many solutions so that you can pick on the best option. Don't come up with one solution. One solution might not be enough, might not actually give you the best out of what you want. Then use the language that creates possibility. So your language should be positive. Your language should create positivity. It should not, possibility. So the language should not be one that creates negativity. The language should not be one that discourages. So use that language that creates a possibility. So lead your thinking with phrases like, what if, and imagine if, and these terms open up your brains to think creatively and encourage solutions. Avoid closed negative language such as, I don't think this can happen, or but this is not right. So use language that creates the possibility in terms of what is expected of the people. Language that is creating possibility has the phrase like, what if, imagine, what if we looked at this issue in this way? Imagine if I did this and this. Imagine if I handle this problem in this way. What do you think will happen? But languages such as, I don't think, but this is not right, this is incorrect, or you say that somebody else tried this issue this way, but he failed terribly. So that's a discouraging language. So make sure that you have a language that creates a possibility. Language that creates a possibility. So then we just wrap up at that point, but I just want to play again a short video on the process of decision making and the decision making skills. So stay alert, keep watching as we listen to the video presented here.
problem-solving techniques. In this video, I'll explain 10 creative problem-solving techniques. Coming right up. To overcome any challenge of intermediate or advanced difficulty, you want to have an adequate number of creative problem-solving techniques at your disposal. Some of the following techniques are well known, while others are derived from Six Sigma methodology, advanced brainstorming techniques, and situational analysis frameworks. Here are 10 techniques that can be used on almost any type of problem and overcome your toughest challenges. Number 1, retrograde analysis. Work backwards from your goal. With this approach, you determine the goal you're trying to achieve, and you work backwards in the steps leading from the goal to your present situation. Another way to look at this is to think of causes and conditions that must be true in order for your goal to take place. Number 2, divide a problem into sub-problems. Instead of trying to solve a large and challenging problem, break that problem into parts that are easier to solve. It's easier to address multiple sub-problems one by one than to address them all at once when they're combined and reinforcing each other. Number 3, root cause analysis. Root cause analysis is a method of problem solving used for identifying the root causes of problems. The removal of a root cause prevents an undesired event from occurring. Usually, complicated problems have multiple root causes. A great way to uncover these root causes is to first divide a problem into sub-problems, and then discover the root causes of each of those sub-problems. Number 4, upgrade relevant skills, knowledge, and resources. When a difficult problem confronts you, you have to determine whether you have the sufficient skills, knowledge, and resources to solve this problem. If not, you need to build the required capabilities. Here are ways to accomplish this. Learn sets of skills relevant to the problem. Research topics that directly relate to your problem. Study, imitate, and consult with experts in relevant fields. And use the best available tools and resources to increase your capabilities. Examples are software, outsourced services, freelancers, and tangible products. Number 5, brainstorm multiple approaches to solve the problem. Brainstorm as many alternative approaches to solving a problem as possible. You'll have more viable solutions to choose from, and you can combine approaches to create multifaceted strategies. Number 6, solve similar versions of the problem. Sometimes the best way to solve a difficult problem is to first solve problems that have some similarities to the original problem, but are easier to address. Solving alternative problems will give you new skills, knowledge, and experience that will make it easier to solve the original problem. Number 7, evaluate alternatives to the original goal. If the original goal is too cumbersome to achieve, there might be an alternative goal that can give you equivalent or sufficient benefits. In some circumstances, fulfilling an alternative goal first might be the fastest route to solving the original goal. That's because achieving the alternative goal will give you the skills and experience that you wouldn't have otherwise. That may make it easier to achieve the original goal. Number 8, generalize the problem. Generalization is the construction of problems sharing similar characteristics and functions within a single construct. For example, many types of movies exist, but they all assembled in a single construction, movies. Number 9, challenge your preconceived notions and assumptions. Relying on ill-conceived assumptions can prevent the formulation of solutions that are practical, realistic, and useful. Number 10, Phoenix Checklist. The Phoenix Checklist provides context-free questions that enable you to look at a problem from many different angles. These questions will help you clear ambiguities and pinpoint the unknown unknowns associated with the problem. The Phoenix Checklist is comprised of 2 components. The first is a list of questions used to define problems. The second is a list of questions to define a plan to solve the problems. I currently have these questions on my website, and I provided a URL to these questions in the video description below.
Now, so far, we have listened to the presentation of that speaker about the process of solving the problem. So different speakers talk about different models or ways of solving problems. But from this presentation, you can see that this speaker talked about a number of issues, number of things that are used to solve a problem. So it's not about the question of how the question of what the speaker say, but it's all about the concept of solving the problem. So what matters is the end result. It is not the discussion that people take a part in. So the end result is the major area that we focus on to solve the problems. So there are different issues online. There are issues online. Different speakers talk about different ways of solving problems. And from this video, you saw and you listened to it very keenly. And the speaker said that you can solve problems by working backwards from your goal. You can also divide the problem into sub-problems. Find the root cause of the problem. Then you also need to have the skills, knowledge, and resources to solve the problem. You can also brainstorm ways or the means in which the problem can be sorted or can be solved. Then find similar versions of the problem that can be solved using the same solution. Then evaluate alternatives to the original goal. Generalize the problem. Then challenge the preconceived notions and have the checklist. So those are some of the 10 effective problem solving techniques that the speaker outlined for us this afternoon. And the speaker was quite clear in his definition, in his discussion. And I think we just have to wrap up at that point this evening. Then we shall pick up another day, another discussion on problem solving, another session on problem solving. So thank you for attending this session. We just stop there.